What's the biggest overtime scam you've ever seen busted? I once worked in the warehouse and delivery side of a retail store. The company culture was toxic from top to bottom. Every level of management seemed to believe the way to lead was to treat the people under them like garbage. Orders were barked, mistakes were yelled about, and praise was non-existent. They paid us about 25 cents over minimum wage, while the bosses drove BMWs and Mercedes. The big boss himself lived in an $8 million mansion. Meanwhile, we were breaking our backs for scraps. Our store happened to be the freight hub for 4 other locations, so I got to know the drivers from those stores pretty well. They'd be in and out all the time, dropping off and picking up freight. One afternoon, I was sitting with 2 drivers from another store. One of them, let's call him Buddy, mentioned he and his partner were working over 60 hours a week. I said, well, at least the overtime must be nice. He just shook his head. We don't get overtime. We just get paid straight time for everything. That made no sense. I asked if he'd signed an averaging agreement, and he said no. Then he showed me his pay stub, and sure enough, no overtime pay anywhere. His partner came back from loading and confirmed it. They'd asked their manager about it and were told, that's just the way it works here. I told them flat out, it's illegal. They should take it to labor relations. But they were worried about losing their jobs, so I let it go. A couple months later, Buddy's partner mentioned he was quitting to move back east. I told him, you've got nothing to lose now. File the complaint. He did. Fast forward a few weeks, and I walk into work one morning to find all the boss cars lined up along the loading dock. My coworker said something big was going on. Every manager in the company was there, along with a bunch of people in suits. Upstairs, in the office of our company bookkeeper, a quiet, polite Chinese immigrant named Mr. Lin, the bosses were in full damage control. They were trying to pin the overtime mess on him, claiming his English wasn't good enough and he'd messed up the payroll. But Mr. Lin wasn't stupid. He had kept every record. Every email where he told management the way they were paying the drivers was illegal. Every written instruction from them telling him to just do it anyway. He calmly handed over the entire paper trail to the investigators, stood up, and quit on the spot. A few weeks later, I ran into Buddy again. This time, he had a new driving partner and a pay stub showing about 15 paychecks worth of back pay. The company had been forced to pay every driver all the overtime they were owed, plus a hefty fine. And there was one final cherry on top. That same day of the investigation, the second-in-command parked his shiny silver BMW right on the loading dock and ran over a nail, flat tire. He popped the trunk, called me over and said, change that for me. I just smiled and said, sorry, that's not my job, and if I hurt myself doing it, my compensation claim would be denied. He had to go back inside and call a tow truck while I stood there on the dock, watching the chaos they'd brought on themselves, and I'll admit, my heart was glad.